right now because she is such a great kid, and I can't wait to see when someone brings her talent out there.
Yeah, talking about Lorelei, the thing about her is she's a very strong pick, but a very high skill cap hero. Both of these players, Gabe Vizel and Godfather, are two very mechanically skilled players. So if we're going to see Lorelei being contested, it's going to be in this matchup.
Absolutely. I feel like it's maybe a pocket pick that people are waiting till later in the tournament. We'll have to find out as we continue through our games. Now, just before we jump into this one, we've been talking about these two teams, but it's time to pass it over to Dan Gaskin, sitting in the crowd to find out what our Coca-Cola predictions are for the game.
Thank you very much, Munchables. Yes, another Coca-Cola pre-match prediction, and I am very heavily involved in a Cloud9 camp here. You're wearing a Cloud9 jersey, ma'am. Would you like to tell the viewers who you are exactly and why you're here?
I'm Rosemary Villarin, the grandma of Gabe Vizel. I'm a retired financial analyst from the federal government. I am here to support my grandson, Gabe Vizel, and of course, the team.
Wow. And of course, mother Gabe Vizel and father Gabe Vizel behind me as well. I can kind of guess what your prediction is going to be of who you think is going to win this series. But before we get there, I mean, what does it mean to you to be able to come to something like this and watch your grandson on stage competing in a video game? Did you ever imagine that might be a possibility?
You know what? I don't even thought about this, that this will exist. Because during our times, we don't have this game. And I'm so proud about my grandson because he is into it. He loves playing this game. And it's really amazing. I'm proud of him.
And he is a very lucky boy as well to have you here with him. All right, go on then. Who do you think is going to take this series? Is it going to be Cloud9, or are we going to see Hunters win this one?
I'm pretty sure Cloud9 will make it the championship.
There you have it. Cloud9 is the prediction. Munchables, back over to you on the desk.
You love to see it, don't you? The support coming on through for Cloud9. Gabe Vizel's own grandma here. Apparently, Gabe Vizel loves to play the game, which is pretty convenient because he happens to be pretty good at it as well. All right, it's time to break down this one. We're going to be heading towards the draft shortly. We've been talking a little bit about Lorelei. Could that be something that starts to be prioritized now that we're getting into kind of the hard-hitting games here?
I think the top meta captains will still be part of that. Churn Walker is just too strong, so you'll see the team probably ban it, especially if they're on the B side, to deny the first pick Churn Walker. But I think coming on the second phase, she could play a role based on how the draft and the bans come out, because she could be flex jungle and captain as well.
All right, we'll have to see. The draft is underway. It's time to kick off our fourth and final quarterfinal here of the day. We're going to be starting with a Lyra ban coming out from Cloud9, who are beginning on our A side.
Makes sense that they go for something other than the Churnwalker, saying to Hunters, you can either ban this hero or we're going to pick it up. We have seen them already play it once this Worlds, but we have still yet to see a truly convincing Churnwalker game from Cloud9, and instead, with the Churnwalker ban, they do what they always seem to do, and that is get that carry.
Yeah, so what I was going to talk about is the fact that this is a best of 5. You don't want to come out in the first game having your best draft. Instead, see now what they will do is just feel how Hunters will draft, go for something they know works for them, something they've done so many times in the past in the first pick Vox. So that's what I expect from both of these teams. Just play something rather standard, feel out your opponent, then later on in the later games, start bringing out your best drafts.
Yeah, there's a Black Feather being picked up here, and a good ban potentially could be Koshka, because Cloud9 did ban that against Pain, but they also played some Petal and Catherine as well, so some interesting drafts there from day one. But let's see what Hunters want to take off the table, because Kesher also looks pretty good for Hunters too, so I wonder if Cloud9 may ban away the Kesher given how East Asia and China likes her.
There is also the possibility that they look towards a captain ban, trying to take away the Arden can come out. Things like a Fortress, deny the Vox Fortress that we know Cloud9 have run. They've thus far been running very similar compositions to what they ran during the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, Arden is still open, so Cloud9 going to need to make a decision here whether they want to give it over to Hunters. Besides that, Grace is still open, Lorelei is still open. Instead, they're just going to take off Rona, so they're expecting the Black Feather to be CP, even though it's still a flex pick available to Hunters.
Yeah, well, I mean, not necessarily expecting the Black Feather to be CP, but we've already seen the Black Feather Rona combo a couple of times this Worlds. I don't think we're going to get a chance to see it again because it is just so strong and teams are not willing to take the chance of trying to go up against it. And so it makes just a lot of sense to ban away the Rona if Black Feather's already picked.
Yeah, Arden is going to be picked up here. That leaves Grace open for the side of Cloud9. And along with that, looking at a Black Feather, they could potentially see a Petal with Grace or even Catherine here because that's something Cloud9 has played in day one. It's a comp they execute very well with Old School and Vox, and also it allows them not to show any trump cards.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if they went with the Petal, especially since the Black Feather could go CP. That's a lot of AoE damage going into the late game that can eliminate the minions rather quickly. So Cloud9, they have the Grace, like you said. Fortress is another option they can go with. Besides that, they can try to go back to something that's worked for them in the past with the Alpha for Joseph and just try to play around how aggressive he can play.
Still plenty of options and plenty of different compositions they can put together. We know that this is a team that has been very strong in the draft, but an Ozo gonna be coming through instead. Okay, then.
So we were asking, I was asking you guys, are we going to see them pulling out the stops here? Are we going to see the pocket picks? Apparently the answer is yes. You can hear the crowd chanting Ozo behind me. Ozo, Lorelei, Vox. What is this composition? Someone explain this to me.
Yeah, so Vox, it's a dive composition. Lorelei her heroic perks that swell. She also can stun with fish food, and splashdown slows the opponents and also boosts movement speed for Vox and Ozo. And Ozo likes to go in and do AoE damage, and Vox likes to also dive in. So this is a heavy dive composition, and also the protection coming from the waterfall from L'Oreal will give Vox and Old School that durability, because Ozo already has built-in durability. Every time he hits heroes, he gains a barrier and also gets some lifesteal.
Yeah, it's definitely all about aggression, all about diving. I mean, you mentioned the waterfall being put on the Vox. It could also be put on the Ozo. That is a barrier, so Ozo's passive will make it even more significant. It's a very durable front line with a very strong back line. That's really
It's time to get your predictions for this game. It's Cloud9 against Hunters. Who do we think is going to take this one?
I'm going to go with Cloud9. The draft looks great, but more importantly, this is the best North American team coming out here now, especially since TSM dropped, so I have a lot of faith in them. It doesn't matter, Hunters very strong. Cloud9 should be the stronger team.
Tasty bacon.
It's actually a little bit tougher for me to choose this one because the composition for Cloud9 is a little bit off the wall, but I do think they are a strong enough team to be able to come out and take the victory.
I love Gabe Vizzle, and Lorelei is one of my favorite captains to watch play, so Cloud9 it is.
All right, we have an all-blue desk here as we head on into the last quarterfinal of the day. It's time to pass it up to our casters. It's time to head on into Cloud9 against Hunters.
Thank you very much, Munch. I'm Medic. I'm joined by my wonderful body man, Scoundrel, and we're here to bring you the final quarterfinal of the day. Cloud9 up against Hunters. And we have an Ozo to kick us off.
Cloud9 play their own meta, and this is pretty much a prime example of that. They've got a huge amount of staff behind them. Obviously, they brought on Pepe to do some analysis and drafting. They have a Singaporean analyst who worked for them the entire year, Physics, shout out to her. So they've got an incredible amount of backroom staff to help them make these drafting processes work. They're one of the only teams that have made Fortress work consistently over and over again in the North American VG8. Can they make the Ozo work is the question.
We'll have to wait and see. You know, he can acro bounce his way around. He can make a little bit of a clown fiesta, a little bit of a circus party on the Halcyon Fold, but you never know what you're going to get with Cloud9. We'll find out soon enough as we jump onto the Halcyon Fold for the first game of this series. The final series of the day, it's Cloud9 up against Hunters.
It is going to be that CP Sky coming out for Harmonious in the jungle, you would imagine. Swagyu He's going to be taking the Black Feather. Interesting to note, I'm wondering whether he's going to go for a Poison Shiv build. It's not something that the Black Feather would classically go for, but against a Lorelei, heavy barriers, and against the huge amount of sustain that Joseph can bring to the table on this Ozo, you might be forced to alter the normal Black Feather build to include a Poison Shiv. I don't think you're going to be lacking damage with the Sky, so why not?
Yeah, it makes sense. You know, this is what we talk about so often, the adaptability of these teams, the awareness of where you are in the game, where the enemy team stands, and how you can counteract what they're trying to do. And I think a lot of people are wondering what Cloud9 are trying to do with this Ozo pick alongside the Lorelei.
Yeah, it's super good aggression against the CP Sky, for instance. You can obviously look to put pressure in the early jungle quite heavily. It closes distances very well. It synergizes really nicely with the Lorelei. She can put down that movement speed ability. And obviously Ozo, who just thrives off being able to gap close and have that movement speed, will be able to get into better positions to set up for his acro bounces or his 3-ring circus.
Not used to seeing a monkey in water, but the synergy with the Lorelei can be incredibly effective. Godfather here just trying to hold the wave to make sure that they don't lose too much as Gabriel's and Old School try and clear out some of this CS. It is going to be, as we said, the CP Sky for Harmonious. I was fortunate enough to cast some of the Hunters games earlier on, and this CP Sky was absolutely devastated when piloted by Harmonious.
Yeah, Cloud9's composition kind of has a go button, right? It's a go button of we engage, we've got huge movement speed increase with the Lorelei. Wait a second, Swagyu.
He's okay.
He's okay. Is this actually Swagyu in the jungle and we've got a CP Sky in lane? That's a massively interesting adaptation simply because Ozo classically will do okay into a Sky in the jungle because you can close gaps on her very quickly. She hates being I guess, engaged upon in the early jungle. It's very difficult for her to trade back when she doesn't have much CP to back her up. It looks like they're actually... No, okay. They just seem to be sharing gold across the map right now, not really committing to the lane or the jungle at this point.
I think it might be Harmonious in the lane, though, because he has got a minion candy as well. So as you said, they're trying to remove that vulnerability, remove the point of weakness to make it harder for Cloud9 to find the fights that they want. Yeah, and obviously it helps the CP Sky scale up as well, getting that extra gold increase. I'm wondering what her build's going to be like, though. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different options for her, aren't there, Excalibur? Yeah, things like Frostburn, for instance, would be very, very good at slowing down the movement speed of this sort of heavy movement speed-based composition. It will reduce the amount of CP that she brings to the table, though, which is obviously always an issue. But a lot of Skies I've seen, especially when they're in the lane where they don't have to rely on Frostburn and being a power spike because they get a bit of a better gold income, will often go for something like a Frostburn more effectively than a jungle Sky would. Good secure once again by Joseph. Swagyu getting chased away here. Does have the on point for the slow. Old School went lower in the lane as well, but Swagyu should be okay as he retreats back through his jungle. Another shield, but the acro bounce is going to slow him up at the end here. Has to use a healing flask as Joseph looks for the 3-ring circus. Can't quite get the kill, and now Godfather's here to help out Joseph. Trying to back away. The healing tree ends low, and in the lane, meanwhile, Harmonious just takes a pure 1v1 against Old School. Joseph still trying to steal away some of this jungle. Did secure the treant for himself, but Swagyu and Godfather are trying to keep these backs. They'll get both of them. And Joseph will realize pretty soon that he can't fight this much longer. When was the last time you saw Old School get 1v1'd in the lane? We talked about Harmonious on this CP Sky. He is a god when it comes to piloting this hero. A lot of the builds that I would expect to see, though, despite the Frostbird, is likely going to be Dragon's Eye first. Dragon's Eye is what made Sky good on update 2.10. She can stack it really easily, either through basic attacks or the use of her forward barrage and so on and so forth. And that would mean that she scales up super heavily. And on this movement speed-based composition, often if you don't get the immediate engage, don't find out where you want to be instantaneously, she'll have loads of time to stack up, loads of time to reposition, and then eventually, 9 seconds into the fight, you've got a fully stacked Dragon's Eye, and you're going to be hitting super hard. I have to watch her when she comes into the fights, because Harmonious has shown us how strong he can be, but C9 do not give their opponents an inch. If they want to dive onto a specific target, they are darn well diving that person. Now, Harmonious has come down towards the shop, realized that C9 had control, so he'll just go back to the Sanctuary. It is the Dragon's Eye first, Scoundrel, so I have to see how that develops as we get towards the middle portion of this game. It's been relatively slow early on. Only real action was Harmonious getting that 1v1 trade in the lane. I want to note something that is very different to the sort of the usual Vox build path that we see. There is no immediate need for a Poison Shiv for Old School. There's no massive healing. Oh, nice block. Good stuff from Swaggy.
There's no immediate healing for Old School to have to deal with the Poison Shiv. Therefore, he's gone for a better power spike in terms of raw damage output and picked up the breaking point first. This might lend itself towards a more traditional breaking point into heavy critical strike build, looking to do more damage, more burst damage, and a little bit like what we saw from Hundor in his game where he played Vox into a Celeste, and it really fits the composition that Cloud9 have brought to the table. Heavy dive on the Sky.
Will they be able to get there, though? It's one of the weaknesses we see with Ozo as part of these compositions is you can't actually stick onto someone. The reflex box start coming out. The Bangarang is nowhere near as effective as it could be. Swagyu going for an early Poison Shiv here on the Blackfeather.
We mentioned it right at the start of the game. We mentioned that Blackfeather might have to change his build up to deal with the Ozo. I'm really glad that Hunters have been switched on in terms of their build adaptability. It is not a normal build for Blackfeather to go to Poison Shiv because he spikes so hard off Serpent's Mask, but they realize it is a necessity for this game. With Ozo diving in and getting so much healing from his heroic perk, they can't allow him to sustain that heavily when he dives in. I'm almost applauding here because it's a really, really good item choice.
C9 now looking for the engage. There's the knockback. Harmonious caught out. The wait for it coming out as well. And already they have killed the Sky. They're looking for a little bit more. The acro bounce around. Swagyu is the new target. Hunters retreating underneath their turret. And I think C9 will realize they do not want to overextend too far now. Can go for the turret instead. That's exactly what Joseph is going to do. This will be first turret as well as Cloud9 pick up their first kill and the objective, continuing to put the pressure down on towards Hunters.
And Harmonious has realized he needs that reflex block. I want to point out something that was incredibly well-timed, and it just shows you the mechanical prowess of this C9 team fighting composition. That was a Lorelei a delayed stun directly into the Ozo acro bounce location. He acro bounced the Sky directly into Lorelei's stun, which shows you how much synergy this team has as a team fighting team.
We often talk about CC chaining. Cloud9 do it so well. The death from above, though, is going to catch out Joseph, who perhaps has overextended ever so slightly. Godfather's low. They've already got the kill, though, onto Swagyu, who cannot keep himself alive. This is good stuff from Cloud9. They get their second kill of the game and have put Hunters on the back foot.
I was about to mention that Cloud9 haven't yet pulled the trigger in terms of the way we usually see it, but they got that first turret. They've opened up the map now. They can start to be more aggressive. And whenever Cloud9 sees an opportunity to take a kill and try and do something with it, they will take the kill. It doesn't matter if it's a captain. It doesn't matter if it's a jungler. They will find that opportunity. Joseph facilitates the aggression, and Cloud9 are already there to back him up. They're so quick to make a decisive play, and that's what's made Cloud9 the twice unified Western Live champions. Their team fighting prowess and their ability to make team decisions as a unit instantaneously.
It's the reason they went 4-0 in their group as well. One of the only teams to do that throughout this tournament. Hunters had a little bit more of a struggle to get through their group, went 1-1 in both of their games, and were fortunately aided by TSM, who went 0-2 up against Ace Gaming. But Cloud9 looking very strong in this early game. The Tyrant's Monocle has been completed on Old School, their traditional crit build that we talked about earlier on as C9 look for the Gold Miner. Hunter's going to go in with the Gauntlet, the block coming out. What can they do against this Ozo who can jump into that backline through in circus? Godfather's low, has the Fountain. Another block comes out, hasn't used the Fountain, uses it a little bit too late to save his own skin. And the Gold Miner's going to fall to Cloud9 as well. Once again, a kill and an objective for our North American champions.
And you're seeing the difference in terms of Vox's mid-game damage output when he goes for a breaking point into Tyrant's Monocle build. Gabe Bizzle, the king of Crucibles, hits the nail on the head once again. This guy is known, and we talked about it so much over his performance in the Unified Western Live Championships. He literally crucibles everything. He never misses one. I don't want to jinx him, but
you have now.
I have now, but he has been so good with them across all of his competitive play this year. Again, Cloud9 doing what they do best. See an objective, they have a man advantage, they take it off the map.
And you see Hunters just falling behind. 3,000 gold in debt at the moment. Cloud9 look only to extend that further, but Harmonious is getting up to this 2-item point on the Sky. Has the Clockwork and the Dragon's Eye as well, alongside that Heavy Prism, so it's continuing to get stronger.
Yeah, the Clockwork second is an interesting choice, but it lends to the fact that he's really looking for mobility, looking to get Suri Strike off cooldown. He's maxed Suri Strike. A lot of CP Skies in the current meta max their forward barrage for the pure damage output. Harmonious is looking simply to be able to reposition over and over again against a team that is going to look to dive him continuously and dive him by pure movement speed alone. Obviously, Ozo has got some gap closing ability, but the rest of the team is going to rely on Lorelei to speed up, to catch up that Ozo when he makes those kind of dives. He's gone for the Clockwork and maxed his Suri Strike to give him the maximum potential to reposition.
Joseph, on the other hand, has the Broken Myth just completed now alongside that Aftershock, so he will be getting through that shield on the side of Hunters. C9 still in a strong position here, but the later the game gets, the more Hunters will scale up. Swagyu's building up towards his next item, has a coat of plates for that little bit extra resist against Old School.
So I did some analysis on Broken Myth as a second item in an Aftershock jungler. Ozo is one of the only junglers where it's actually better after 3 seconds of combat than Dragon's Eye is. So this is one of the only Aftershock junglers that can actually have longevity in a fight and actually match or outperform Dragon's Eye compared to any other Aftershock jungler in the game. So he's going to use this, he's going to preemptively get through some shield that you might see being built up, and he'll still have a decent damage output compared to if he had gone for the Dragon's Eye, as well as it being cheaper.
Yeah, getting it earlier gives you that spike just ever so slightly quicker. 11 minutes into the game, and C9 are still in control, but it has been relatively slow-paced for both these two teams. They were saying on the analyst desk they're surprised that C9 have had longer games at this World Championship. Well, this is why they're taking things a little bit slower.
So, Godfather has just picked up a flare gun.
Vision, man.
If he's going to build that towards a contraption, I'm wondering why that might be. I would be tempted to say, I want my double gauntlets. I've got a team composition that's going to be diving my Sky. She can reposition through my gauntlets freely, and I'm going to put up 2 walls, 2 sets of walls, that C9 are going to have to get through with only just 1 Crucible. So I would have been heavy pushing towards an Echo as my third item. It's very interesting that he's chosen to go for the flare gun, but kept his contract, so this is the only item slot that he's got available for Vision.
We have seen Hunters play a lot with Vision earlier on today. They like to litter the map with scout traps. Acrobants once again from I Love Joseph. They're just looking for the sentry here. Will be the second kill. As Hunters continue not to be able to take a fight, just giving up ground to Cloud9.
One of the only problems with the Poison Shiv build for the Black Feather as well, you might have noticed it throughout this game, is that he doesn't quite have the same consistent damage output that he would have done had he gone for the Serpent's Mask. So getting a breaking point second onto Swagyu, he's not going to stack that as effectively as he would have done with the Serpent's Mask. So he's going to be slightly slower to come online in these fights, which obviously hurts a Weapon Power Black Feather's sustained damage output.
Speaking of coming online, though, Harmonious on this Crystal Sky, one of his signature champions, now has the Eve of Harvest as well. 3 items completed, building up towards the Broken Myth next up. So Hunters are slowly getting towards their win condition. The question is, have C9 locked them out of the game enough to be able to shut them down before they get there?
Well, they've got a decent gold lead to work with. Remember, gold leads can often, oh, that's a good stun, but nothing to follow up on. Gold leads can always result in sort of interesting circumstances when you say, actually, a Sky's got 4 items, but they're still 10k gold behind as a team. Whilst that's an amazing power spike for a Sky, she's still well behind the other team right now, and that's the case for C9. They're setting up here, preemptively setting up with the water to get a good stun off. Obviously, when you stand on the water as a Lorelei, the stun delay is reduced by a significant margin, so it's a little bit more instantaneous. 1 more Crystal Sentry to go for C9. Will Hunters try and contest it?
Harmonious did just use Death from Above, so that's on cooldown for about 10 seconds, but Swagyu now has the breaking point, so can start to stack it up. The Fountain used, as you say, the Crystal Sentry goes down, but a great Gauntlet will get the stun off onto I Love Joseph. Now it's all on Old School. Get the weight through it down, the triple silence, the aggro bounce in, the Death from Above does come out, but it's blocked out, and Old School stepping forward into the midst. Here comes the bangerang, and there goes the kill. Hunters getting shredded in the front line as Joseph and Old School continue to push forward. They can't quite catch Harmonious, but they get the Sentry and they get a kill.
Something that I think has been understated in this game is how much damage Gabe Vizzle was doing with just a clockwork on this CP Lorelei. People forget that CP Lorelei, if you land a stun and you have any CP in your kit, you hit really hard. You saw earlier, Harmonious got locked in one. He lost 1/3 of his HP just from Gabe Vizzle. That was a really early Fountain from Godfather, though. I think he'll look back at that and potentially wonder if it was maybe mistimed. I think not even maybe mistimed. It was a mistimed Fountain from Godfather, and it lent the fact that Hunters had nothing to back up on. If they'd actually kept that Fountain for a bit longer, they might have had more space to work as Cloud9 pushed through that fight, but unfortunately the early Fountain kind of left them in no man's land.
Cloud9 once again have had a strong early game. You've got Old School finishing up his Tornado trigger here as well, and in 20 seconds the Kraken will appear on the Halcyon Fold. So Cloud9 will now start looking at how they close this game out. A Kraken push would be great. Still need to get through 3 turrets on the side of Hunters. They're in a pretty strong position. 4 turrets on the side of Hunters. Sorry, I forgot that second turret was still available.
I really like this build from Old School for the reason that there's no armor on Sky. He's gone 4 item Sky, and he's going to need a reflex block, especially because of the Ozo Bangerang. So having this heavy critical strike build means you're going to stack very easily, on the Vox, but it also means you're going to deal insane damage to Harmonious too.
Infusions on Old School and Joseph looking for the fight. The gauntlet comes out. Swaggy goes in with the Rose offensive. The death from above is going to come down as well, and Harmonious jumps back into the fray. Here comes the Bangarang. Harmonious is low. There's the fountain. Used at the right time this time, but Swaggy is still very low on HP, and Old School's pushing forward. The Vanguard will get Swaggy out, but Goldfather will cost his life. Harmonious fell off towards the top side of the fight as well, and C9 are looking just as strong as everyone expected them to.
This is the team that has come here to win Worlds, the twice unified Western Live champions, C9. Like I said, they play a meta that no one else seems to. Let's take a look at that replay right now. Again, great stun onto the Sky, immediately puts her out of the fight. At this point, Old School's just stacking up. They already have to back off, and when a Vox is forcing a team to back off and he's getting 3 stacks on his breaking point, he tears apart these fights. It's just up to Joseph at this point to clean things up, but if you can't focus a Vox and you're running away from a Vox before the fight even begins, you've lost. The breaking point stacks just become too insane to deal with, and with the critical strike, you start to hit very hard.
We saw how strong Vox can be in the last series. Pain Gaming using that to win 2 games against Ace. He took the victory in the end and going through the semi-finals tomorrow. Cloud9 trying to make a quick one of this. Want the easy 3-0 if they can take it. Here comes the Bangarang, blocked out with the reflex. There's the Gauntlet as well to try and split C9 up. Swagyu is quite low, has to run away with the Rose offensive, and Old School is just diving underneath the turrets. Cloud9 get another turret for themselves, looking to push in with this Kraken. Still very much a healthy Kraken push here. They'll get the choke turret before Hunters can even respond.
And Old School just right now, he might have died in lane, but he is making Hunters pay thrice for it at this point in time. He's almost 1v3ing in certain circumstances. C9 are ready to go for the win right here, right now.
Incredibly strong performance from C9. They get the first crystal turret. They're looking for a little bit more. Swagyu back up. Joseph there in the midst of them all. Gave Bizzle off towards the side as well, but the Kraken gets the crystal turret, and now it's up to Hunters to try and delay. They just can't do enough. C9 take game 1 of their quarterfinal.
All the hype built around C9 is real. These guys are North American powerhouses, and we're given that title for a reason, displayed right there. Humanist, eat your heart out. They can make Ozo win and make it look easy.
Yeah, I'm sure Humanist is smiling to himself wherever he may be at the moment. Great performance from Cloud9, of course. Hunters just never really seem to get going in that composition.
No, I think one of the major issues for them was that you forced the Black Feather onto a Poison Shift in the jungle. You need more items as a weapon power Black Feather with a Poison Shift to be as effective. Sky, great, she scaled up, but she was already going into a composition that was specifically designed to dive her, and she just wasn't surviving very well. Questions will be asked about Godfather's fountain timing and also his build path. I don't know what the contraption was about, but we'll see.
I'm not sure how much an echo would have held them in that game. To find out, we'll hand it over to our analyst. Munch, take it away.
Thank you very much, guys. Yes, game 1 is done and dusted, and Cloud9 coming in incredibly strong. Honestly, that was a very, very controlled game coming out from them, and I think that's the key thing. It wasn't a messy game by any stretch of the imagination.
I do just want to take a moment to appreciate all 3 of us predicted one team, and we got it right. It finally happened.
Bravo.
It just took an Ozo to make it happen, apparently. But what a game from Cloud9, just really coming out strong, showcasing the power that they have in this North American region and why they are the team to be feared, why so many people have predicted them to go all the way.
Yeah, I mean, what I want to touch on here very quickly is the fact that Hunters, yes, they did make it out of Group D. They took games off of Ace Gaming, took games out of TSM, but both of these teams were struggling. TSM got knocked out, and Ace Gaming almost lost to Pain Gaming, so Hunters now up against C9. This is a different level of competition. They're going up a whole nother level of competition. They're going to need to adapt very quickly before they lose 3-0 right here.
And it's how Cloud9 executed the composition. At 6:25 in the lane, you get a bang. Joseph gets a bangarang onto Scott. She gets stunned, and Gabe puts the fish food right where she gets stunned, and she gets stunned again. And that combo was just deadly. Yeah. And after that, they took the turret and then just continue to put pressure against Hunters.
Yeah, we have a replay of Cloud9 pulling off these combos as well. This is a replay from during that match. And during the start of what looks to be, if they can keep it up, a fairly one-sided quarterfinal, honestly.
Yeah, it was a very strong showing. And part of this is also you have to wonder about, as our casters are saying, the build path that was chosen by the members of Hunters, especially Godfather, going for that contraption. I mean, vision wasn't really the issue. You know where Cloud9 is going to be. They're going to be charging at you every single time with this composition. So the contraption, I think, was definitely something to be questioned, and as well, the timings of the activatables was another thing that left something to be desired.
And the reason why I say C9 is a different level of competition is because when you look at how they snowballed this game, at 8 minutes they had a 3K gold lead. 8 minutes later, they had almost a 10K gold lead. Once they gain a lead, this is a team that is very efficient at carefully snowballing the game out of control. And you just can't stop them unless you're making very proactive plays that catch them out of surprise.
Absolutely, and we'll see if we get any surprises coming out from Hunters as we move on in this series. I want to talk a little bit about the draft because in game one, when Ozo has beaten you, you're already losing to these kind of odd, kind of off-the-wall picks. How do you even approach a draft? How do you come into this one? What is the plan going to be?
Yeah, I think it's understanding what's strong, and Weapon Blackfeather is really weak early, and that's why you saw Cloud9 invade so much. And with Lorelei supporting an Ozo who has his Carney Luck, heroic perk, it gives him barriers, gives him sustain. He basically out-traded the Blackfeather easily. And Lorelei has a speed boost, right? You can see Gabe dropping the splashdown, slowing the enemy team. And when Lorelei achieves 1,000 HP or higher, the slow is 47%, and the stun goes from 0.4 seconds to 0.8 or 9 seconds. And it was crazy how Gabe leveraged Lorelei and her combo to really help his team ace or kill Hunters.
Yeah, I mean, the Clockwork as well, it's a pickup that you will see a lot on Lorelei, especially if she's being played in that captive role. It just allows her to spam those abilities that have so much influence on how the team fight goes, whether it's given a speed boost, given a barrier, or a stun. Lorelei is a really strong pick. It's why we kept talking about it early on in the day, and that's why we expected to see a lot more of it.
So now, as we head towards the next draft of this series, is Lorelei going to move up that priority list? I asked you this question before the first draft, Suijay, and you said there were stronger captains to be had, but Lorelei seems like it's pretty up there to me.
Yeah, something else that I think we need to kind of think about at least is there are two different mindsets with these pocket picks, these off-the-wall picks. One is that you just show whatever you want, things that you may not be intending to play later, just to get it in other people's minds. That's when you're really confident you go with that strategy. The other is if you are just very worried about your opponents, you take these pocket picks that you think are going to be giving you a guaranteed win, and you bring it out right away just to get yourself a buffer in the series before your opponents can adapt. I'm very curious to see which way it goes here for Cloud9. Was it something that they were just worried about Hunters, they wanted to get this buffer, or are they just so confident that they are willing to just throw picks into the wind and take what they can get?
Yeah, Churnwalker will always be banned. Cloud9 has consistently banned Churnwalker on B side every single time. He's just too strong of an A side pick, so that leaves Lyra open for Hunters. So are they going to pick up this Lyra or give it over to Cloud9? Let's see what they decide here.
I also really like the first ban Vox coming out of Hunters. If there's a player to target on C9, that would be Old School. His hero pool is not the widest, it's not the deepest. It's something that's been abused very much in North America. So banning the Vox, if they follow it with another ban that they don't want Old School to have, that's if Cloud9 doesn't first pick something for him right here. It could be the way to beat Cloud9.
Yeah, I mean, Cloud9 is a team that has historically picked a carry first, specifically for that reason. They know that that's one of their potential weaknesses, so they just clear it off the board right away and say, you know what, you're not going to get to abuse that weakness because we are shoring it up immediately in the draft.
Koshka is open for Cloud9. Joseph has a really strong Koshka, so let's see if that does come out. Arden is going to be the first pick here. Normally after Lyra is picked, Arden is good, and Gabe's Arden is pretty nasty. So I think now with Cloud9 wanting Koshka, Lorna is a great counter to Koshka, so that's why she's banned.
Yeah, and Blackfeather is still available, so Hunters now have a decision to make. Koshka or Blackfeather, do you choose to ban one of them, or do you leave them both open and take whatever one does not get grabbed by Cloud9?
I actually think Old School's next go-to hero is going to be Sky Weapon Power. So here, since they banned the Rona, if they don't ban the Blackfeather, they're going to get it. If they ban the Blackfeather, they're going to get the Sky Weapon Power, save the last pick for jungle hero to counter. And with the Arden in the sky, you can play very aggressive, drop 2 gauntlets with the Echo, and just focus a single target with the Poison Shift that can reduce Lyra's healing.
Hunters do decide that the lesser of 2 evils will end up with a ban on Blackfeather. So they do not want to deal with Blackfeather. Again, it makes sense. It's such a strong pick. The flexibility of it, there's too many things that you can do in your draft when you grab the Blackfeather on B side. So Now Cloud9, they have free reign to choose what they want.
Yeah, with Rona, Black Feather, Vox out the picture, Sky looks really good. Baron potentially looks really good as well, but Weapon Power Sky with Poison Shiv build, Solar Blade build that we see a lot would make a lot of sense here into the competition Hunters. Hunters now can play like a Celeste with the Cruel, for example. That's something that has been very popular in the East Asia and China region. So we could potentially see that. Oh, wow, and then a weapon, Adagio potentially, or lane Adagio and Old School is going to come out here.
Could even be the Crystal Adagio.
That's true.
Old School signature pick is this Adagio. He hasn't been playing it quite as much because it just simply hasn't been as strong in the meta as other picks, but it is still a standby. It's something that you know he can perform on.
I'm going to go back to the last World Championship in 2016 when Cloud9, or Old School specifically, used to play on Gangstars. One of the matches they had against Rox Armada, one of the ones they won, was on a CP Adagio that he played so phenomenally, and he just carried his team through with it. So it's definitely a hero that he's played very, very well in the past, and he can replicate it, or at least he's hoping that he can replicate past performances here.
Yeah, we have Kestrel open as well, so we could potentially see a Kestrel, or are they going to go with the Celeste combo? So Kestrel is going to come out here. Samuel is also open. That's a classic East Asia and China composition. So much lane sheet, so much pressure. Good into Adagio because he doesn't have mobility and can get locked down. So given that, if they do that, then Cloud9 will probably go with Koshka here.
This is going to be a CP Fortress for Cloud9. Give me that CP Fortress. Plays so well against the Kestrel because with the Wolves, you can block the Glimmer shots. Plays really well against Lyra because of the Mortal Wounds. And with the Weapon Power Adagio, you can easily follow up with the damage. I'm not sure if Cloud9 want to show that just yet, though. So it's going to be dependent on whether they want to reveal it early on at the tournament.
Is it really revealing it, though? I mean, they played it
true.
so many
Played it
times during the
that's
regular
true.
season. We know that is a pick that they have. So it very well could come out here, but they could also just go for something a little bit more conventional to try and deal with what Hunters are bringing to the table. You know that Hunters are likely going to be going for that heavy siege style, although not going for the Samuel kind of makes me raise my eyebrows a little bit because it's not going to be that full-on siege composition that we've seen out of the Asian regions.
Yeah, so let's see if that Koshka or that Fortress comes out, and that Fortress is going to be picked, which is, like Iraqi said, a super nice counter against not only Lyra, but Kestrel as well because of the Wolves.
Honestly, when you look at the roster right here for Cloud9, it's pretty much signature picks across the board right here. This is what we typically, these are kind of the highlight picks for each of these individual players on Cloud9. And when they just had a very handed victory on picks that we don't necessarily know them for directly like this, and then they go on to these comfort picks, you've got to be a little bit nervous for Hunters coming on into this game. But I want to ask you guys, are you nervous for Hunters, or are you believing in them? What are the predictions coming into this game, Suijay?
Well, Hunter doesn't have a bad draft. Early game, they can siege. The ultimate from Baptiste, the Fearsome Shade, can push the Wolves away. So they could have a chance, but Cloud9 has been playing so well that I think they're probably going to execute this comp extremely strong against Hunters.
Cloud9 once again.
So much of what Hunter's going to do is going to rely on, can they get the siege on the turrets? Can they get the objective focus? And Cloud9 is a team that has been so good at preventing that objective focus. I think Cloud9 are taking this one as well.
Right,
Yeah, I'll have to go with Cloud9. They're just a really strong team, and Hunters, I don't think I need to see them show me something to beat the Cloud9 before I can go with them.
They have to prove it before you're willing to commit your prediction. All right, well, it's time to get on into this one. We have a Cloud9 desk once again. It's time to pass it up for game number 2. Over to our casters. It's Medic and Excoundrel.
Thank you very much, Munch. And the desk may be blue, but I'm pretty sure Cloud9 are very happy after that Game 1 victory. Strong performance by them. Didn't really look like there was much Hunters could do to win that game.
Yeah, there was a small glimmer of hope with that solo kill at the start. Felt like they could maybe work things through. I thought the Poison Shiv was a good pickup, but didn't get that enough gold onto the Black Feather to make him powerful enough to be a threat in these fights. And unfortunately, Cloud9 knew how to focus down that Sky every time. But a new game, new Halcyon Fold, new picks, new draft.
I hope it's the same Halcyon Fold. Do you make a new one after each game? Are there like tiny Halcyon architects that rebuild the entire thing? They put the turrets down. It's the minions.
Exactly.
The minions work so hard and then they get killed as the game progresses. But we are going to jump onto our brand new and improved Halcyon Fold. Cloud9 up against Hunters in Game 2 here of the quarterfinals.
What do you think the minions do when they're not in game, mate?
They probably relax and then think about the fact that in a few minutes they're going to run out to their deaths along the lane. Like, I wouldn't be too happy if I were a minion in Vainglory.
Old School on his famed Adagio. I Love Joseph also going to be bringing something that he has played infrequently as well. He's played this CP Fortress in the jungle a little bit from time to time. I imagine Old School is going to go for a weapon power Adagio, but you can never tell with Cloud9. Going to wait a little bit longer. It would make sense. It allows them to split their damage, which is also really good, especially against things like Batiste. It forces them to potentially consider armor, which is obviously great because Batiste otherwise would just go for an Aegis and full CP. But Cloud9 do what they do usually, rotate, share every single camp on their rotation from in to out, and Gabe Bizzle holds the lane as the same way Hunters push.
Getting that 3-man push on early. We have seen some strong Batistes across the course of the tournament. Bad Mojo can do a lot of damage. Harmonious on the Kestrel as well. Very intrigued to see how effective he can be. We saw Ace Gaming earlier on bring out the CP Kestrel, but Harmonious is going to go down that weapon power path. And you can do a lot of work if you position yourself correctly.
Yeah, huge amount of siege potential with very little wave clear coming out from Cloud9, especially if this is a weapon power Adagio. So you can imagine at some point in the next few levels, next few minutes, we will see Swagyu rotate to lane. They'll use the Lyra sustain to sustain their siege and can put heavy pressure on this Cloud9 first turret.
You really want to see some minion candies as well, don't you, to try and push in, try and poke down underneath that turret. It's what we saw Pain Gaming do so well earlier on today, and Hunters will be trying to match up their Brazilian counterparts. Here comes the engage from C9 onto Godfather and Harmonious, trying to force them back. Godfather is quite low, but they're trying to target down Harmonious. Here comes Swagyu from the side, puts down the Ordained, will get some damage down onto Gabe Bizzle and Old School as well and force Cloud9 back, but Cloud9 with a signal of intent early on in this game.
Actually, I think Joseph spent most of the time trying to basic attack Harmonious. They maybe could have turned onto Lyra there and put pressure onto her. She'd already used her flask, and she was potentially a good target for Joseph. Again, just forces and relieves the pressure on lane, though, for Cloud9. That's kind of what the aim of the game is going to be for them. And as Old School buys up towards a Poison Shiv, it will confirm that it is going to be the weapon power Adagio. Probably clever. You need a Poison Shiv in this game versus the Lyra.
100%. Lyra's healing. We've seen how devastating it can be if you don't have an answer to it. Getting up to the point where those Imperial Sigils can heal for 700, 800 health if you've got enough health behind it. I'm so interested in these games, Excalibur, because it's so rare that we get to see the top teams from two regions battle it out. You know, Hunters only lost a single game throughout their split coming in here. Cloud9 were dominant for a long time and had probably a poor summer split, you can say. Still performed incredibly well, but we've had a bit of a clash of heads in game one. Cloud9 looked dominant. Is there a way for Hunters to get back in this series?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're doing the right thing right now. They have huge lane pressure. If they can take turrets first off Cloud9, if they can open up the map the same way that Cloud9 does to every other team, it might put Cloud9 on the back foot. We haven't seen Cloud9 come from a deficit yet. They have been in the lead in every single game that they have played from the very get-go. We have not seen them come back. So if Hunters can push that turret, open the map, control global objectives like that gold miner, we haven't seen Cloud9 come back from a situation like that.
We have seen Hunters play up against TSM earlier in the day, actually. It was early hours of this morning that they fought against each other, and it was a 1-1 tie in the group stages between those two. So by the transitive property of game win, C9 should take this series because C9 are better than TSM, and TSM were better than Hunters. But Vainglory is a tricky game, and Fate can make fools of us all, so Hunters will continue to challenge up against C9. Really slow early game here, but Hunters have been able to push down on towards that turret.
The more and more that C9 can do to defend this first tier turret, the better it is for their composition. They are going to be forced back here. The wave clear just isn't that good from these guys. Here comes Hunters.
Hunters pushing forward, did use a minion candy on that last wave, but weren't able to get too much more damage down. They're waiting for the next. No candies in their inventory, so this is just going to be a naive push if they can get towards the turret, but still Harmonious unable to get the damage down on towards the turret itself. Gabe Bizzle jumps in, Bright Bulwark comes out. Sigil as well used on towards the Kestrel to keep him alive.
Cloud9 are in a tough position right now. You really can't do much with Fortress until you hit that Aftershock power spike. That Aftershock power spike is what defines CP Fortress. So they're going to have to wait for that to come through before they really start to churn out the damage that we know this guy can do. But Cloud9 again and again, I don't know whether this is just Hunters reluctant to push without that fountain online, which they do have now online. Godfather's picked that up. But I feel like this turret could have gone down by now. Cloud9 have done a great job of rotating up to defend it. They have committed Joseph to aggressive moves to push Hunters back. But Hunters have got a wave advantage right now, and they're going to continue that push.
Aftershock still not online for Joseph, though. Does have the Storm Guard banner to try and clear out that jungle a little bit easier. Swagyu now with an Aftershock of his own, so maybe Hunters will look for a fight soon. Harmonious goes back, gets a 6 sins, spends some of his gold as well, but still both these teams tentative around making too much of a play.
Fortress is one of the only junglers, by the way, that I would ever recommend a Stormguard banner. Sometimes you need it on Taka, but very rarely if people just start going double weapon blade. He really has a poor jungle clear without it. Looks like they have got the rotate here. Hunters should get the first turret for free.
Old School's on his way, but Harmonious with a few more arrows from his quiver will be able to take down the first turret.
Now this is uncharted territory for Cloud9. We haven't seen them at a deficit in terms of map pressure. They have always been the ones controlling the map and pushing the turrets, taking the gold mine, blah, blah, blah. Hunters now have the opportunity to do that same thing to C9. They can be the ones pushing the gold miner, drawing C9 into a fight. It's whether they think they're confident enough to take a fight and win it, especially now that Fortress has finished up his aftershock.
But Godfather has his flare gun, ex-scoundrel, and we know how big a spike that is on Lyra.
It's actually, the thing is, you know, I kind of blamed Contraption last time, but honestly, Contraption on Lyra is not half bad. Lyra on the new update, 2.11, when she has her healing stacking nerfed, can go No Wave Gauntlet into Contraption for maximum cooldown reduction and maximum annoyingness in teamfights. I still think I would prefer a Crucible against an Adagio, for instance, a Crucible against an Arden Gauntlet, but do you know what? He obviously has his reasons. Maybe the cooldown reduction is super worth it.
I agree with it worth the gauntlet, but we so rarely see a weapon power Adagio actually channel the verse of judgment. Here comes the gauntlet, but Hunters are willing to fight in there. Great fear with the fearsome shade. Joseph jumping in, looking for the damage on towards that Lyra. Can't quite get it though. Nor on towards Swagyu. The gold mine is still aggroed here as C9 start to beat a hasty retreat back through their jungle. Swagyu is the one to step forward. Healing has come out from the fountain. Joseph there in the midst of the team. Hunters backing away once again. That Baptiste just about surviving. But here come the Glimmers, and here comes Harmonious. A cacophony of Glimmer shots coming out across the members of C9. The Bat Mojo as well, not quite enough. And the gold miner is helping out C9 for the time being. But Hunters do force C9 back out of the jungle.
First time we've seen C9 go for a global objective and being pushed away from it, and now Hunters are the one that are going to go straight for it. Their fountain coming off cooldown in just 20 seconds. They still have the healing from Godfather 2. Can Cloud9...
Looking for the steal, they can steal it away. Gabe Bizzle.
Oh no, that was just too easy.
Just walks up to it, blood for blood's enough. Blood for a gold mine is exactly what Gabe Bizzle got.
Cloud9 with a brilliant steal keeps them well in the running here. Harmonious is going to go back, tail between their legs, clear the wave. Hunters should not have given that away. They should have been a little bit more aggressive to defend. I think they had Fearsome Shade up. They could have maybe tried to cast that to sort of brush them away.
There's a breaking point on Old School now as well. That's what that extra little bit of gold from the gold mine gets you. Breaking point. Harmonious goes for a Tyrant's Monocle, second on the Kestrel, looking for that crit out on the Arrow Mistress.
Yeah, just probably going to go for another Tyrant's Monocle following this. It's a very classic Kestrel build. You don't get the same level of damage on Weapon Power Kestrel on the update 2.10 than you used to, but you do get extra pierce as you go through those levels. So it still does, as we've seen throughout this tournament, can still do a significant amount of damage.
Both teams gathering up for a fight again. They're trying to jump on towards Harmonious, who goes into the active camera. The gauntlet comes down, double stun from that, but Hunters are able to back away from the cage. No fight needed just yet. Maybe they can re-engage. Fearsome Shade is available. The Crucible still up for Gabe Bizzle alongside the Fountain. Godfather has a Fountain of his own. The attack of the pack as C9 try and collapse on towards Harmonious, but they can't quite get the damage down. Gabe Bizzle went deep. Joseph there as well. He's getting Swagyu incredibly low and will be able to take down the Baptiste eventually, but C9 do have blinking health bars on their jungler. Harmonious able to defend for the time being. C9 able to take a kill in the lane.
And it's something that I want to mention, by the way, Medic. Did you see how Old School got ordained right at the start of that fight? Wait a second, just have to make sure that no one's going down here. They are going to siege onto the turret. Old School got ordained right at the start of that fight. He didn't immediately run out with his reflex block. He knew that his team would back him up and finally engage.
And Old School goes for the chase as well. A bit of an overstay there from Hunters, but here is Swaggy. No fearsome shade for him. The Ordain comes down once again. The turret still aggroing the minion. Harmonious has been jumped on, goes into the active camera, but can't quite get the damage down. And Old School continues just to die. Old School just doesn't care. The ace comes out, and C9 somehow all get out alive at the end. They'll take a turret, they'll take the ace, and they'll take a commanding lead in this game.
It might be a small deficit that they had to come back from, but now C9 are well in the driving seat once more. Goodness me. They know their limits so well as a team. Every time they go for a tower dive, they know exactly how much they need to rotate in and out of that tower aggression. They know who needs to tank it at a certain time. They know how much damage output they have.
They get 2 turrets off it, and Old School goes back and buys an entire Sorrow Blade on a single back. That's a lot of damage now on that Adagio.
You just don't see that often. Getting that much gold stacked up in a professional game and then going back and buying an item outright. Let's take a look at that again. Let's take a look here. That is just, again, obviously you can see that they're rotating their aggro around. They're basically sharing the body blocking for Old School. They are sharing the body blocking of those glimmer shots. Both Gabe Vizzle and Joseph are there acting as that front line, allowing Old School to then regen off his Gift of Fire and head back into the fray once he's managed to get some health back. It's wonderful transitioning, micro-transitioning as we get another fight open up here.
Good Fish and Shade will catch out 3 though, and perhaps Hunters can find an avenue to get into this game, but still, C9 just continue to push forward. The block coming out on that gauntlet, but Harmonious is low, healed up with the Sigil. Old School now finally going to join this fight, and Harmonious has nowhere to go. C9 just look unstoppable at the moment. Who can challenge these favorites from NA? I can't even think of Ace being able to challenge C9 at the moment.
C9, I think, are going to face their toughest competition tomorrow in the form of Tribe. That is a semi-final that could have very easily been a Worlds final as well. This team looks untouchable. They really do. They put one foot wrong and they immediately pivot and put the next foot right. It's just the cleanest Vainglory we have ever seen from a professional team in probably the history of Vainglory.
And it's so strong as well coming into the World Championship. You know, their summer split wasn't as good as some people predicted. They still were able to perform incredibly well, but when they get in this LAN event, when they get in the offline setting, there's just no one that can match up to them.
There just isn't. Not this year anyway. It's been proven time and time again. The big question surrounding Cloud9 was they dominated the Western Hemisphere. Would they dominate the rest? Would they match up against the rest of the world the same way they have matched up against EU and NA combined?
The rest of the world isn't looking amazing at the moment, although I think there's something to say for Impunity coming out from Singapore. Strong performance by them earlier today. And tomorrow is a new day. C9 on course to win this quarterfinal, but Hunters still have something to say about it. Old School's going to get some damage down on Skodfather. The attack of the pack with the flank. That's a lot of hungry wolves diving onto the back line of Hunters. The arcane passage will get them out for the time being, but Joseph can just chase on towards Swaggy down towards the bottom side of this fight. The Ordained is not enough, and Joseph will get the first kill. Old School chasing in 20 broken mid stacks. Not much you can do against that at all, and C9 get 2 more kills.
He stacked that breaking point like a monster in that fight. Unbelievable. And this is kind of the theory of this composition, right? You have a single damage item Fortress. Fortress literally only needs Aftershock to become a monster. Take a look at that again. That was the flank play by Fortress. Obviously, Old School then got locked up by the Ordained, couldn't quite make it out there. But in the meantime, the body blocking of the Kestrel, that's one of the weaknesses of Kestrel. If you can body block her, and now that her damage has been reduced from that Glimmer shot, it's a lot easier for a frontline to exist versus a Kestrel. While you have that front line, body blocking the damage from the weapon power Kestrel, you have Old School in the back line, 3 items, building breaking point stacks with a big range, slamming the pain down, and no one can touch him.
And Old School is just so comfortable on this Adagio as well. You know, it's not a pick we commonly see. It's not something people say, oh, you've got to pick weapon power Adagio or you're going to lose the game. He has just been incredible throughout this series and throughout the tournament thus far, and I don't see any laners being able to challenge him.
People always said Old School, if you thought of Adagio, you thought of Old School, you sometimes thought of Dienzio as well. But both of them have been renowned for playing this pick. I believe Dienzio said they don't beat, neither of them actually like playing it, but he plays it so well, he often just kind of gets given it. It is a fight.
3-man chase through the arcane passage. There's the gauntlet as well. They're looking for Swaggy, who's on that front line. The damage coming out, and C9 looking for the first kill, just about securing it as Old School pushes forward. The second gauntlet stunned out of it, though. Good stuff here from Hunters. Maybe they can turn something around. Old School still untouched, though, and he's going to get his second kill of the fight. They'll get the turret as well. Choke point turret down 15 minutes in. Cloud9 yet to die this game.
Easy rotator Kraken as well for C9. I want to just put into perspective how difficult it is for Hunters to win these fights from this point forward. You have no feasible way of getting to the back line and dealing with Old School. You have a tanky Fortress and a tanky Arden in your way. Both Batiste and Kestrel will be body blocked. Most of their damage, Bad Mojo and Glimmer Shots get body blocked by a very beefy front line. How do you actually get onto Old School and kill him? It's almost like you have to portal your entire team directly on top of him and try and blow him up. That's nigh on impossible. Now that he's even got a metal jacket to tow, that's nigh on impossible for Hunters.
I just don't see how you get there. You've got, even if you portal in, Cloud9 then just take the portal out and they're okay, we'll just fight on opposite sides of the map. It doesn't really matter to us. Cloud9 did not take the Kraken, but they can just set up vision around it. It's not going to be too hard for them. Just start it up, try and force a fight against Hunters. If Hunters step out, Cloud9 just kill them.
Another interaction that we've seen so much across these fights as well, Medic, is the fact that Gift of Fire reveals Kestrel when she pulls out of stealth. Now she's power Kestrel, it's not going to be stealth for very long, but you can keep tabs on her as that Gift of Fire ticks. Cloud9, I think, are going to grab this uncontested. Kestrel has gone for a Tornado Trigger to make her a more basic attack focus that might give her the flexibility needed, but I just think at this point it's too little too late. Cloud9 is steaming ahead.
Yeah, good Kraken take from Cloud9. They're looking to continue the fight, though. They don't want that Kraken to push in. They want to win the game before it. The Arcane Passage away, but Old School joins the midst of the fray, and they're going in for Harmonious. The heal is just not enough. C9 split up the Hunters, and they are now the prey. C9 will get 2 kills off the back of this, and Old School says, you guys can deal with him. I'm going to try and chase off towards the other side. Eventually, Joseph will secure this. That's going to be an ace, and that is going to be game 2 here for Cloud9. Not much that Hunters were able to do at all. An early gold lead for them, but Cloud9 just did not give them an inch.
Didn't even notice because we were so preoccupied with Cloud9 as they go to end this game. I'll talk about it afterwards because they are going to take this game.
That they are. They'll take down the Crystal turrets. They'll take down the Crystal itself. The Kraken didn't even need to lend a helping hand. Cloud9 do it all themselves and go 2-0 up against Hunters.
Impressive stuff from Cloud9. There was a lot of adaptations. Hunters in the builds. Batiste actually went for an aftershock, and that was designed to deal with that front line maybe a little bit better, but it was just too little too late for Hunters. Cloud9 just... every time they deal, every time they have their ability to deal with whatever is thrown at them, that time round, it was almost impossible for Hunters to find a win in that team fight because it was so difficult to land any damage. We talked about it in the game. And Weapon Power Adagio, man.
Yeah,
powerful.
Cloud9 got to a point where they're like 10k ahead, and it's like, what can Hunters really do against that at that point? You've got an Adagio, you've got Old School, who is incredibly adept at that hero, and there really wasn't much Hunters could do to answer. They have to think of a way they can deal with Cloud9 in game 3.
That's it. They need to think of a way. This is last chance saloon for Hunters. If they don't come back in this next game, draft-wise or else, Cloud9 are through on a 3-0.
Yeah, it'll be a great performance by them. We'll see if the analysts can think of a way for Hunters to come back into this series. Let's hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, we'll try and figure out a way for Hunters to pull themselves back on through, but Cloud9, not quite a perfect game. They did lose a turret in that one, but other than that, just absolutely walking on through. A bit of a cakewalk for them in game number 2 of the series. And you have to wonder, what can Hunters do? What can they pull out of the arsenal to actually get themselves back on into this?
I mean, that's honestly a very difficult question to answer. What I want to talk about, however, is the fact that C9 are 2-0 up right now in the series without even having to show anything special. Vox in the first game, everyone knows Old School plays Vox, and CP Fortress in the second game with a weapon power Adagio, we talked about it. They played it so much throughout the regular season, so C9 has so much more in the arsenal.
I mean, I'd say Ozo's a little bit special, at least.
That's true.
But it's a little unconventional, but it's still, they have just looked so dominant. And all of their games thus far at Worlds, they have looked so dominant. It doesn't look like there's a team that can compete with them at the moment.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out is the way they juggle aggro. That one point where all 3 of them were low, Batiste is full health, and then they kill the Lyra, and then they get onto the Kestrel. That was an amazing ace that allowed them to get 2 turrets, and Oto getting 3 damage items by the 11-minute mark. Just the way they were playing was pretty amazing.
We actually have a replay of that fight as well, so we can take another look at that tower dive, because this is honestly one of the most impressive dives I've seen in Vainglory, and just most teams would have backed off at the point at which they decide to commit to this fight.
Yeah, and this fight starts pretty far away from these turrets, but you can see how well It gets chased on through. They go on down, take out the initial kill on the bottom of the jungle, and then right here going up towards this turret, just continuing to make plays happen. This wasn't the dive we were looking for. It wasn't the dive we were talking about, but it is still just goes to show how strong and how confident this team is.
Yeah, I mean, that team fight was a great flank by Joseph coming up through the tri-bush of his opponents, making sure that he can get on top of the Kestrel. Another reason why Fortress is such a great pick versus the Kestrel is because when you pop the wolves and she goes invisible, those wolves will still follow her. So you can still know where she's going to be going on the map, even if you can't see her.
Yeah, another thing that Joseph did really well, he prioritized Metal Jacket after Aftershock. And he was a guy going in first, tanking up all the damage. Gabe prioritized a lot of health, so made his barriers much more powerful, much stronger for either Joseph or Old School. And Old School was just completely untouched in the backline. He had no defense until he got a Metal Jacket at 15:30.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew the game was over because Kestra was completely countered.
Yeah, at that point, you're just kind of covering your losses. You're like, okay, what is the one type of scenario where we can even lose this game? Okay, I'll get a Metal Jacket. Let's take a look at the damage done during that game, as Cloud9, I'd imagine, are pretty far ahead of the curve when it comes to that chart. Be able to have a glance at those statistics. Look at Old School's damage right there. 40,000.
And as expected, Baptiste, I don't understand, like East Asia, China, their builds are so interesting. Aftershock, Clockwork, and Baptiste, they didn't have to build any type of Aegis to really counter that. He didn't have that much damage because usually you build a Shatter Glass or Clockwork and a Broken Myth, but this Baptiste was more cooldown and didn't have enough damage.
Yeah, it just, the damage, like I said, not being there for the side of Hunters, but so much of that was just because they were so far behind in this game, because Cloud9 were just able to take every single chance they could to get themselves an advantage.
I mean, talking about, you know, we mentioned what is the answer here for Hunters as we're going to go into the draft. Up against C9, the traditional strategy that's worked for teams that wanted to beat C9 is to get something that works very aggressively in the early game. Get a lead, be on the front foot instead of playing into what C9 are trying to set up. Put them on the back foot so that they play something they're not as comfortable with. So that's how Hunters can aim to beat C9 with just getting a stronger early game composition, playing very aggressive.
Yeah, this is so risky to give Cloud9 Churnwalker because Gabe is a beast on Churnwalker. Lorelei is a first pick, so that's a very interesting. They're pulling out their trump cards because they have to. This is their last stand. They have to win this game to survive.
Yeah, and you know, the Churnwalker pick, again, this is something that Cloud9, they were the early adopters of Churnwalker. They were one of the first teams to pick it up. I still have yet to be truly convinced of their ability with this hero. It hasn't been as strong of a pick for them as any other captain, really, across the board. But the fact that they're willing to continue to go with it shows that it is something that they do want to be able to have at that same level as all their other picks.
Yeah, I mean, this is the second time they've played at this tournament. The first time was against Pain Gaming, and this time around as well, they are 2-0 up, so they have a little bit of room to experiment with and practice this pick on the stage, feel a little bit more confident with it. So it's something that hasn't worked for them the best in the past. I agree with you there, but they have a lot of room to bring it out and feel how they can play with it.
Yeah, and you know, against Pain, they did still get a very decisive victory, but their early game just didn't look the way that you would have expected from Cloud9. So we'll see how this one shapes up. The Adagio actually drawing a ban here just from one game from Old School, and then of course Rona getting taken off the board. Blackfeather is still available if Hunters do want to go that route.
Blackfeather is going to be picked up. Now you can flex the Lorelei as a jungler or as a captain, and then just hyper carry the Blackfeather. Cloud9 here have a few options, given that Blackfeather could be weapon or CP, but Weapon Sky is open. You can also Saw with Churnwalker as well. That's been a comp that has worked successfully in North America.
Old School on Saw, I've never seen that before.
I've never seen that, unfortunately. That's true. So let's see if they're going to go with potentially Sky or maybe even Baron. I mean, Baron is also open, but that's really risky because Blackfeather is so good into Baron.
Yeah, I think Sky Weapon Power would make the most sense. What they're going to combine it with in the jungle, however, would be a great question. They could go for the CP Fortress again if they so choose to do that. Another thing that could work is the Razer. You can play aggressive with it, allow the Churnwalker to hurt someone, bring them closer, then just try to burst them.
There's also the fact that Kashka is available, another pick that we've been talking about for Cloud9, has gotten through the draft this time because Hunters had to adapt their bans to try and focus on Old School. They're forcing him onto at least his third pick in this series, so he's going to have to be on something different, but The
Yeah,
Koshka could
Sky-
still come out.
Yeah, it's probably Sky Koshka here. That's such a strong dive composition. Churnwalker, land the change, pull him in, Koshka Sky, then target focuses whoever is caught off guard. And you have a stun, you have a Sky ultimate, Death from Above stun, you have a Churnwalker trespass stun, and you have a Koshka Yummy Catnip Frenzy stun. That's a very strong combination that we could see coming out here.
At the same time, Hunters does have a good draft to flex things around. You mentioned earlier the Blackfeather can go either lane or jungle. Same as Lorelei can go either the jungle or even the lane or the captain. She's very flexible. We've seen her in all 3 roles competitively in other competitions. It is going to be the Petal rather than the Koshka. So a double range composition with Churnwalker, that traditionally doesn't work the best, but with how C9 has played so far in the series, I mean, I expect them to just come out dominating as well.
I mean, it is a double range with Churnwalker, but it is also a double range that can be very mobile and can get in your opponent's face if they need to. They also can still flex this. The Sky can go into the jungle to Joseph with the Petal in the lane. That's actually what I'm expecting, because Old School had been playing a lot of this weapon Petal during the regular season, along with Tribe and Dienzio.
And the Baron comes out. I think it's going to be a Weapons guy for sure because of the Baron here, and she's mobile enough to stay on top of him. And of course, they have to CP to Blackfeather because a Weapon Blackfeather will not work very well into this composition. So pretty decent response from Hunters in this draft.
All right, so Hunters, they've got a good draft behind them.
Yeah.
Is it good enough to take on Cloud9? Gentlemen, we could be going into the last game if Cloud9 can keep up the performance they've had in the first 2 of this series. Can Hunters get a game on the board here? Are Hunters going to come back?
Their draft is not bad. I like Lorelei, so I'm going to put my money on Hunters. So hopefully they get a game here.
Sweej hoping for the underdog here, Greg.
I love an underdog story, but I think we got our underdog story out of the way with Pain Gaming earlier. This is a 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with Sio. I think the draft is very good for Hunters, but C9 will take this one and win 3-0.
All right, we'll see how this one's going to be panning out. We've got 2 for Cloud9. Sweej hoping for the Hunters right here, but Cloud9 definitely looking like the favorites. It's time to head into game 3. It's time to pass it to Medic and Excalibur for Cloud9 versus Hunters.
Thank you very much, Munch. And we could be here with our final game of day 2 here at the Vainglory Worlds in Singapore. And what a day it has been. Cloud9 on the cusp of a 3-0 victory versus Hunters.
Yeah, and I think no matter the drafts, no matter how the drafts have looked, Cloud9's execution has been a level above not only Hunters, but every team here at Worlds so far. They are definitely looking like the favorites for the whole thing right now. Even beyond Ace, even beyond Tribe and Impunity, Cloud9 looks so polished at this point in time.
That they do, but you never know when they're going to slip up. You know, Hunters, I'm sure, have a few tricks in their bag of tricks and will try and challenge C9. We are back onto the Halcyon Fold. The 3rd game here between Cloud9 and Hunters. Hunters fighting for their right to get through to the semi-finals, fighting for their lives here in the Vainglory World Championship.
So it is going to be CP Petal. Weapon Power Petal on 2.10, not so good because of the nerfs that took place. But obviously Joseph has played so much Petal over the course of his VG8 career. They've got a very heavy dive composition. They're going to look to put pressure on the Baron. If this goes late, though, you have a very good composition from Hunters.
Godfather was super sneaky here. They didn't spot him, doesn't steal it though. That would have been the best drone play I've seen today if he had managed to take that one away.
That's the best
I have low expectations sometimes. But
you did play with me quite a lot.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Godfather forcing Gabe Vizzle away, and it looks like Harmonious and Swagu will just farm up the jungle and come back into the lane. Looking for this 3-man push that we see so commonly from Hunters. Hasn't worked out for them thus far, but should be able to get some pressure in the lane.
It's been deja vu every single game so far. The 3-man push from Hunters, followed by that rotation to the backs from Cloud9. Cloud9 then have to deal with that minion wave push to their turret, but they never end up losing much from it. They're always able to farm the minion wave out. Old School's so good at juggling the turret shots as well as his own CSing ability.
Something in the past that he's actually been put down for is his ability to CS in lane. You know, he's an incredibly good laner, but sometimes his farm does fall behind compared to some of his international compatriots. Today, that has not been the case, being able to push Harmonious back on a number of occasions. It is going to be, as we expect, Weapon Power Baron and the CP Blackfeather here for Hunters.
I love that C9 rotate their entire team down to the Elder Treant just to share experience across it. That's really clever. It's worth quite a lot of experience, and you can get a minor advantage in terms of levels just by sharing it across your team. Hunter's going to make another 3-man push into the lane here. Like I said, they've got 2 really good late game carries. They're going to push onto Old School, but won't get too much from it.
The question is, can they get to the late game? Because up until now, C9 have just denied them any opportunity the later the game gets. We saw the fish food there, not quite connecting, and Godfather's been brought back to the awaiting arms of Old School. Pops the healing flask and manages to walk back away.
That is the question, Medic. Can they make it?
Can they make it to late game?
Cloud9 are famed for pushing that mid game super hard, getting global objectives, off the map, putting pressure on a team without ever having to sometimes engage them at all. It is about getting to the late game, and Hunters so far haven't proven that they are able to contend with Cloud9 in the mid game.
And Joseph will take away the Treant. No experience share here, but getting that extra Treant early on does just give you that little bit of gold and experience advantage over your opposition. And Hunters trying to get to the late game will value every iota, every single experience they can muster from this jungle. I'm waiting to see what Cloud9 decide to do. When are they going to pull the trigger? When are they going to go for this aggressive play? Because in the early game, we have seen them do it quite a few times. They wait for the opportune moment, and then they go for that big play.
Something that Cloud9 is so good at is playing around power spikes, and you mentioned when are they going to start to make their move. Power spikes, item spikes, and level spikes, and what Cloud9 balances when choosing to make a move. You're going to need at least Poison Shiv, you feel, for the Sky before they even decide to think about a dive. Maybe that first item, Shatterglass or Dragon's Eye, for I Love Joseph as well.
Have to see when those first items do come out. Will Hunters be able to distract them and push them away if that dive does come out? Harmonious building up that weapon power. Swagyu as well on the Black Feather. Looks like he's going towards an Aftershock here. Looking for that extra damage early on.
I actually wouldn't go Aftershock in this particular composition, simply because I think you've got two squishies. They're unlikely to build a huge amount of shielding early on. Shatterglass means at post level 8, if you just get to that level spike, you're going to have huge range damage potential against the team that is going to want to dive against you. And poke damage is good against Churnwalker, especially if you outrange its hooks. So I would have personally gone towards the Shatterglass for that reason alone. Obviously, the Aftershock is going to be good if they dive onto you and you can get multiple procs of that Aftershock off, but personally I just think I prefer the Shatterglass in this scenario.
Cloud9 have been doing a lot of diving though, so maybe Swagyu is trying to anticipate the way of the game. Never know how it's going to go. Harmonious now has the Sword Blade complete. No Fountain yet on Godfather, so this is a spike in terms of C9 having that extra item on their Roma, but they're not going to be able to find anything out of it just yet. We have seen just... The thing about C9 as well, Scoundrel, is they're not just this amazing early game team. They're not just this amazing aggressive team. They are so adept at working out, as we said, that perfect opportunity, the perfect time when they want to go aggressive. They work out exactly how their enemy team's playing. They adapt across the course of a series. And that's why we talk of them in such high regard. That's why we say they are looking to be the favorites for the World Championship.
Cloud9's ability to function in a team fight, even in the late game, we talk about how good their early mid game is. The reason we don't talk about their late game is they never let a team get to late game. And it feels like when you see them play their team fights, they're almost telepathic in the way that they communicate to have the perfect synchronicity in terms of their abilities. It is almost a spectacle. It's an art to watch them team fight in Vainglory.
That it is. Shatterglass completed, and now Old School with that Poison Shear. Perhaps we'll start to see a few more skirmishes here. Both teams willing to play the early game relatively slowly. We're 6 minutes in, only 400 gold between the two, but now level 6 has been hit on Old School. Joseph there with a spontaneous combustion as he pushes in as well. The death from above is going to come down. Swagyu needs to dodge around. A good amount of damage coming back out from the Baron, though. And C9 realize they cannot push any further for the time being.
In fact, it's going to be Hunters pushing towards that turret, but without a Fountain on their side. This is a Riniski maneuver.
A Riniski maneuver indeed, a Scoundrel, but Hunters have to make a few risky maneuvers if they want to win out these games. In a pure 3v3, they haven't been able to beat C9, but maybe they can if they get the damage down from the Baron. Gabe Vizzle, the first to fall. The death from above is dodged by Swagyu. The wounds are going to hit onto Godfather, though, and now it's up towards Harmonious. He's gone down, and C9 have been able to re-engage. They've been able to get 2 kills, and they are the ones on the front foot now.
It's a risky Riniski maneuver to go for that push so aggressively without your Fountain. You didn't see Cloud9 use it in the previous engage. Let's take a look here. Cloud9 saw that they were getting out-rotated. They moved to lane. Suddenly, Harmonious gets a couple of really hard-hitting basic attacks off. Gabe Vizzle starts to tank and sustain a decent amount, but at this point you have 2 very healthy carries chasing down a retreating Hunters team, and both Sky and Petal relish the opportunity to chase their opposition down. Cloud9 suddenly turn what looked like a poor situation for them into the first turret of the game.
And once again, it's the same story, you know, you see a breath of air for Hunters, you see a sign of life, and C9 say, oh no you don't, and once again they put the Hunters in their place. Oh yes they do, say C9. They put the Hunters in their place, and Hunters just haven't been able to find the appropriate prey thus far. It's C9 who are the predators, and Hunters who are getting caught out so often.
What I notice about C9 that they do better than pretty much any other team that I've seen play Vainglory is when other teams would likely back out of a scenario due to
fights like this occurring. C9 are the ones who are on the front foot. Death Revolve's going to come down. It catches out the Fountain Use, but it's a little bit too late to save the Godfather. And it's a story of Sopranos as once again a Godfather goes down. Now Hunters 2,000 goal behind at the 8-minute mark after an incredibly slow early game. C9 have this game firmly in their grasp.
And they're going to get the gold miner as well. Classic C9. We talk about it every game that they play. A sliver of an opportunity, they push the lane up, they get a global objective. Huge amount of money in the bank.
And then they take away jungle as well. You know, here they're taking away the front camps. They're looking to steal a Treant away as well. Swagyu does a good job of getting it. But it's so difficult. It's so much toil and hard work for Hunters to get any of their own jungle, to get anything out of this game. C9 just shut you completely out of the action when they can.
I mean, Cloud9 getting extra jungle farm on top of what they're already getting is the icing on the cake, but the cake already tastes sweet. They're already crushing their opposition. And like I said...
Probably a chocolate drizzle cake, I think. Those are the best type.
I'm just more into a chocolate fudge myself. Okay. But anything chocolate, I'll eat.
We'll have to see if C9 are going to lose a turret here. Swagyu is in that front line once again, gets stunned up. A great trespass coming out. He's going to try and Rose offensive away, but Gabriel's still in the midst of the fray. 3 members of Hunters falling low here, and Joseph and C9 just don't seem to be taking any damage. Old School gets chunked out, though, almost falls, somehow stays alive. Harmonious can put a lot of damage down with the jump jets trying to get the autos off, but that's a double kill for Joseph once again, and who can stop the Petal when he's on a rampage? Joseph is looking incredible this game.
Every opportunity that Cloud9 have to punish their opposition, they punish in spades, and they're going to get even more off the back of this. We talked about Cloud9 not letting their enemies get to late game. It sure as hell isn't happening this game.
Not at all, and Hunters once again just left wanting at the end of some of these fights. You know, you see Joseph go low, you see Old School go low, but Hunters just can't get that final tick of damage to actually secure any of these kills.
But it's also credit to C9. I was about to say earlier what they do better than any other team I've ever seen play Vainglory. In some situations, some teams would have backed off then. They said, oh, we're really low, but Cloud9 know their limits absolutely to a T. They had a man disadvantage on that first tier turret push. They knew they could continue that aggression, no matter that they'd lost their roamer, no matter there was a 3 versus 2 situation. Cloud9 still sought the fight and won.
Let's have a look at where we are in terms of build as well, Scoundrel. Joseph has the Dragon's Eye and a Shatter Glass completed now. You've got the Breaking Point and the Poison Shiv on Old School. Even Gabe Vizzle now has a Metal Jacket alongside that Fountain. He's in such a good position. Can actually go and buy the Crucible now as well. He will be at 3 items when Harmonious is sitting at 2, when Swagyu is sitting at 2, when Godfather's sitting at 2. When your roam is a full item ahead of the enemy's carry, you know you're in a good spot. And Swagyu is getting caught out here by Joseph, down to about half HP. The Crystal Sentry comes out. Maybe Hunters can win a 4v3, but I don't think C9 are going to give them the opportunity. The Iron Cannon comes down. Joseph is chunked. Here goes Swagyu. Can he take down the Petal? Can he put some pesticants on towards that Petal? It's a 1-for-1 trade. The pesticide worked, but C9 still win the fight. 3 kills to 1.
Business as usual. Opening hours 24/7. C9 every time. Let's have a look at that again. If they caught Swagyu out. Now, there's itemization choice problems from Godfather again. He's prioritized the Clockwork second item against the Churnwalker, who's just managing to land ultimates time and time again onto key targets. Yeah, okay, you see Swagyu diving Joseph. He's sustaining so much with that spontaneous combustion. In the meantime, your hyper late game carry gets destroyed, and everybody's on such low health that Old School's able to clean up.
The problem with the Clockwork as well is you're not alive long enough to use your second rotation of spells. So really, if you get the Crucible, it would help you out a lot more.
If you want to win mid-game, especially post 6th level for Churnwalker, you should be having a Crucible. You should have a Crucible versus the Churnwalker if you want to win mid-game.
Gabriel will just use his Crucible to try and keep himself away from the sun. Here's the spontaneous combustion. Harmonious is going to back away from this. Has the time it's Monocle now as well. The Death from Above is going to come out. Old School maybe overextended as we see Swagyu jumping on towards him, but already Hunter's on the back foot once again. Harmonious from the side, but can't do any damage to Gabe Vizzle, and he is gone. Swagyu now jumps on towards Old School. It's just nothing that Black Feather can do at all. C9 are disgustingly good at Vainglory. A triple kill for them. An ace at the 12-minute mark. They're looking for this choke point turret as well. And C9, this is the most dominant performance I have ever seen in Vainglory.
And it's got better and better every game this series. Quicker and quicker, Cloud9 have pulled the pace. Hunters have looked dead in the water. Cloud9 up in the air. It's very, very good Vainglory. I also want to point out the difference in captains and itemization. Gabe Vizzle picks a metal jacket super early before even going for a Crucible. He knows that he is going to be the front line. When you're a Baron, you respect a Churn Walker. You respect the fact he's coming to hook you, therefore he's going to be the closest target, therefore he's likely going to be soaking up most of the basic attacks. Cloud9, they pick up the metal jacket, full well knowing that Gabe can force Baron out of position or force Baron back in a team fight, while the rest of his team, without needing too much armor, can literally clean up the rest of the fight.
3 items now on Harmonious, so maybe he can get through Gabe Vizzle, maybe, but there's more armor on the rest of Cloud9 as well. A coat of plates just completed into a metal jacket for Old School. Joseph sitting on a light armor. He's not really the focused target of any of the fights we have seen. Hunters now will just be trying to find a way back into this game, but C9 do not give you anything. They're going to take a gold miner here as well. 14 minutes in, they have a 9,000 gold lead, and they want to extend that to 10. Looking for the fight here. The hooks and chains from Gabe Vizzle, a huge Swagyu. The triple stun. Oh my goodness gracious me. There is nothing this C9 team cannot do. They're going to get another ace. They could even look to close out the game here. Ace buff minions pushing in. 2 crystal turrets between them and a spot in the semi-finals.
It's almost too early to end the game. The death timers just aren't there right now. But Cloud9, look, if there was ever a cause to say you should have had Crucible a long time ago, that was the cause right there. But it is a credit to how well Cloud9 play as a unit. That was a 3-man stun, like you said. It's very hard sometimes to pull that off as a Churn Walker, let alone have no one block it. This unit is the best Vainglory team in the world.
And if you are Tribe, and if you are Ace, and if you are anyone else in the tournament at the moment, you're saying, what do we do? How do we face up against Cloud9? Because they look like the most cohesive unit we have ever seen at the Vainglory World Championships. Better than even Phoenix Armada last year. They just look absolutely unstoppable. C9 going to try and push in here. The 15-minute mark is just around the corner, and with that, the spawn of the Kraken and perhaps the end of the game for Hunters. They will be reaching into their suitcases. They'll be thinking, what do we have left? What can we do against this Cloud9 onslaught, against the Behemoths that are this C9 team who once again going for the engage and get one kill. Harmonious down. Swagyu trying to dance his way away, but there's no escape from C9 today. Looking for the kill, can't quite get it. They do in the end, and now Godfather gets back to the Sanctuary, but there's no healing for you here. C9, they're kind of a big deal, I tell you, and they're going to look to close out this game.
And I bet their apartment smells of rich mahogany, because this is an incredible performance.
Absolutely superb stuff from Cloud9, the most dominant performance we have ever seen at the Vainglory World Championships. They're going to take down the Hunters 3-0, and they're going to the semi-finals.
Calm, collected, cool, calculated, Cloud9. Unbelievable. I mean, I've said that word so many times today, but it truly, truly is to see a team perform at this level. Cloud9 go into a semi-final. They could potentially find themselves fighting for the world title. It would be the gold medal for what has been an Olympic year. They are currently 7-0 at this World Champions. They have not dropped a game the entire tournament.
Imagine if they went all the way. Imagine if they didn't drop a game, going all the way to the finals, winning that one out as well. That would be incredible. You have to remember, Hunters, their opposition, the representatives from China, did an incredible job in their regular split, and then just weren't able to make it happen today.
I hate transfer of property, right?
Yep.
But TSM have had multiple amazing performances versus Cloud9 over the course of our last, North American VG8. They are consistently being Cloud9's Achilles heel in some instances. And Hunters took comfortable games, away from TSM. Hunters took it to a 1-1 series. transfer of property tells me that Cloud9 seems to have reached another level right now.
If we want to take it to its logical conclusion, Hunters beat Ace as well.
Yeah.
And then Ace are going through to the semifinals, maybe to the finals as well. Does that make Cloud9 the best team left in the tournament?
I think it's very difficult to say, but if I were a betting man, I'd probably bet my house on it.
Yeah, I would have bet a lot of money on Cloud9 a long time ago. They are looking so strong. That's it from day 3. The quarterfinals have all wrapped up. Xscoundrel, because we've got a bit of time to talk before we start the interview, I'm going to ask you, what was your quarterfinal to watch today?
I think it has to be the Impunity quarterfinal. Just because we're here in Singapore, just because the crowd support for Impunity is so great, it makes the atmosphere electric. I don't know if you guys can really feel it at home. It's so difficult to describe. But when a team has got support from all of the crowd, it makes it feel that much more special. Impunity now land themselves in a semi-final against Ace Gaming, a semi-final that is fully winnable for them. Given the way that we've seen these teams performed, Impunity are on a surge, and Ace Gaming seem to have hit some sort of hump. I think that is going to be an amazing semi-final. We've got Cloud9 versus Tribe as well.
That's going to be great as well. C9 versus Tribe is a match we've seen a few times in the VGA over there. We're going to hand it back across towards our interview, but what a day it has been. Guys, take it away.
Thank you very much. And we're here right now after a dominating performance here. We have Gabe from Cloud9. Congratulations once again. I want to ask you, was that really unexpected 3-0 against the Hunters?
Definitely not. We definitely respect them. We know that they did take a game off TSM, so much respect to them. I just feel like we just played better today.
Exactly. The synergy was there. Everything was there for Cloud9. But what do you think were the weaknesses of Hunters that you guys capitalized on during that series?
I would probably say that their weaknesses weren't that they expected that we can have such a big player pool. So, you know, we play like a lot of heroes and whatnot, so I think that kind of threw them off a little bit.
Definitely. It really showed through your drafts, but today had a lot of close matchups. What can you say about tomorrow's Tribe matchup for you guys?
So we've been playing Tribe like for a couple months now. You know, there's kind of like a small rivalry between us. They're a very strong team, so whoever wants it more tomorrow will pretty much take it.
I can sense some confidence here, but last question. Do you think your team can win Worlds?
Of course.
Very nicely done there. Again, once again, Gabe from Cloud9. Alrighty, we'll be heading over to our desk. Wait, Munchables.
Thank you very much, guys. Of course, coming out from Gabe Vizzle. Honestly,